Hi, I'm Valerie Russell, and I'm going to take you through a quick Zoom lesson. I have been using Zoom for the last 4 years, and I love it. My students love it. And of course, lately with distance learning, we're using it a lot more frequently. So I'm going to show you some slides first, just because when I get into the live Zoom account, you're not going to be able to see everything on the video. So let's look at how you get started. You need an account, of course. So if you haven't signed up, it's free. The basic accounts have been wonderful forever. They limit the basic accounts to 40 minutes, but for educators, they have lifted that, so you have unlimited time right now. And so when they talk about it being free, it's really always free. It's not like free for 14 days. So the only thing that, at least in the last 4 years, that they've ever limited was the time, the 40-minute, and really you can just jump back on after the 40 minutes ends. So once you've signed up, then you're gonna, of course, sign in. Notice I put a little black mark through host a meeting because I'm just gonna show you the easiest way for your students to access Zoom. I always like to use the same number, much like my classroom. They're always going to go to the same place. They're going to do the same thing every time. I don't want to give them multiple numbers to remember. I'm always just going to give them the same number. So once you've signed up, you're just going to sign in. And then, of course, log in right here. Now, I do want to mention sometimes it's confusing for people in the beginning, and they don't realize that they're actually in the account. So if your screen looks like this, where it has My Account at the top right, you just need to click on My Account. That means you're already logged in. Remember, we're never going to host a meeting if you're going to do what I do. The only time you would join a meeting is if you are a participant. So when you're a host as the teacher, you're just gonna go into My Account. Now there's a left-hand menu, and you'll see that I have highlighted meetings because that's really where you're going to find your personal meeting ID number. So once you click on meetings on the left-hand menu right here, there'll be a horizontal menu that pops up right here. So notice I've crossed through the upcoming meetings because you're not going to use that. I've crossed through the previous, you're not going to use that. I've also crossed through the meeting templates, you're not going to use that. And then up above, you're never going to schedule a meeting right here, and you're never going to host a meeting. What we're going to do is we're going to start a meeting, because every time you go to this personal meeting room, you have a unique 9-digit number, okay? And if you're in your personal meeting room, you can start a meeting at any time. So we're always going to do the same steps. We're going to log in. We're going to go to meetings on the left-hand menu. Then we're going to look for personal meeting room. You'll have to probably click on that. And then we're going to start a meeting. And the main reason I wanted to show you this is because once I get into my account, it's going to look a little different because we'll be running live. You're going to join with computer audio. And you also can click down below so that you can automatically do that every time, so you don't have to remember to click it every single time. Then I also wanted to show you, because I don't think this shows up on the video, but I am a math teacher, and so I use my iPad with my laptop, mainly so I can see all of the faces really well on my laptop, take attendance, whatever I need to do. And then I can use my laptop as a whiteboard. I use the Explain Everything app, but there's lots of whiteboard apps out there. Okay, now I'm going to go into my Zoom. And you'll see right here, so I'm already signed in, and so I'm just going to click on My Account. And if you want to add your picture, you'll do that right at the profile. We're going to go to meetings just to remind you what it looks like. Remember, we don't go to upcoming, we don't go to previous, we click on personal meeting room. and you look for your meeting ID number. And notice how this changed. It says join because I'm already in the meeting. Yours should say start when you're ready to start the meeting. Now, before you start a meeting, you do want to edit your settings, or at least that's what I recommend. So over on the left-hand menu, think of this as your menu bar. You're going to click on settings. And most of the settings that we're going to deal with are right here in the meeting. So I'm just going to go through a few of the things that I like. I like the host video to be on, the participants video to be on. I just leave the audio type at telephone and computer, although none of my students call in. I make sure that join before host is not on. That way it just safeguards your children for two students being in the Zoom room before you're there. The next thing that I make sure, I actually don't do a password. I'll show you what I do instead. Some teachers like to do a password. They already have to remember 9 numbers, so I feel like a password is, I think, 6 more. So I'll show you what I do instead of that. Notice no require password. I keep all of this off. The mute participants upon entry, I have tried it if I turned it on. So if you had 30 some students, you may want to mute them upon entry, but I'll show you once we get into Zoom, you can actually mute them all at once anyway. Then for the chat, let's talk a little bit about that. Like one of the teachers I work with, she turns it off. She doesn't like the chat. I prefer the chat, especially when you're first doing distance learning. So for instance, yesterday I asked my students from a scale of 1 to 5, how well can you hear me? 1 being it's freezing, it's cutting in and out, to 5 being it sounds like Mrs. Russell's right in class with us. So most all of them said 5, if not a 4.5. Now I do prevent students from saving the chat just in case there was something that I felt like was inappropriate. Like I just marked that they couldn't save the chat. Now you can let them save the chat if you want. I do turn off the private chat, and this just eliminates 2 students chatting back and forth and you not being aware. I haven't checked it on the recording to see if you could see it on the recording, but I just disabled the private chat. I like to hear, and I don't think you have an option, but when participants enter, you'll hear a ding dong. And when they leave, you'll hear the ding dong. And I like that. And I don't like for attendees to hear it. There is an option for both to hear it, but it's very, it could be very distracting if you had 30 kids coming in and out. I make sure they can't transfer files, really just so that there's nothing inappropriate. I do not do the feedback to Zoom. I do allow for the host to put an attendee on hold. For some reason you have a student that you want to remove from the class, or that a student who's not supposed to be in that class, then you have the ability to remove that person. I am showing the meeting controls right now because we're in the live Zoom. Usually if I'm not recording a video, I probably won't show those. I'll just turn that off. And then right now I have show Zoom windows off. Screen sharing, only me. Then let's see, this annotation I want to mention because I use the Explain Everything app. And so my son last night when I was using it, I had this turned on. So he was actually able to write on his phone on my Explain Everything. So because it annotates, it says allow participants to use annotation to add information to shared screens. So I would turn that off. He's a middle schooler and was doing middle school boy things. I leave the whiteboard on, even though I don't use the whiteboard because I use the Explain Everything app. I leave all of these on. The main one is to make sure you allow removed participants to rejoin, because students will disconnect, for whatever reason. Maybe they're on their phone and they would rather be on their laptop. I also allow for nonverbal feedback. There's an ability to raise your hand, to do thumbs up and things like that. Then I keep scrolling down and there's just a few things that I like. The kids love the virtual background. As long as they're appropriate, it's kind of fun. Like there's one that they're in space. There's some, like standard virtual backgrounds, or you can upload anything that you want. And then the other one that I just want to mention, I would absolutely turn on the waiting room. This is what I do instead of the password. So I physically have to admit every student who comes into my Zoom room. So if I don't recognize their name, I will not admit them into the Zoom call. And then I do like to get an email when attendees join before the host. This helps me a few different ways. Mainly, like if I ask my students to test their technology before we have class, I can see they'll send me an email of who actually has tested it and who is waiting in the Zoom room. And I just let them know they can test it at any point before our live class. So those are the main settings. I know that was pretty quick. The other thing I want to mention in settings, so we were dealing with the meeting. I do want you to click on recording. So my district, it's a private school actually, but require us to record. So it's super easy if you're required to record. Just make sure you have this auto recording on. I allow students to record on their local machine, so you can click that, but you could also turn it off if you didn't want to allow people to record, like if you wanted to control the recording a little bit more, because you can always go in and edit your recording. So whether you're doing math videos and there was a big pause and you just want to take that out, you can do that. And then there's some other options if you want to give a disclaimer that you're recording. Our school sent information out to let parents know that they would be recording. If you need to get permission from parents, you just need to do that beforehand if that is something that your district requires or your state based on legal things. Okay, so those were really the main settings that you're going to have to deal with. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into our meeting and talk about these toolbars. So I'm hoping that you can see at the bottom of the screen that you have your toolbars. So at the far left, you have your mute. Anyone can mute themselves during the meeting. I can also stop my video and I can still talk. Students like to use this if their internet connection is poor. So you'll get a message if your internet connection is unstable. And so when that happens, I will turn my video off and they can typically hear the sound better. So sometimes it'll happen where they have a bad connection, or like today there was a storm and I had kind of a bad connection. And so I would just turn my video off and they could hear me just fine. Then when you're the host, you'll have a button at the bottom that says Manage Participants. And that's where you'll click on when you start hearing the doorbell. And you'll have to actually admit participants. And it'll pop up right here and it'll say admit. So you'll just click on that Manage Participants. If you're going to share your screen, which I just did, and I'll do it again, you're going to click on Share Screen. If you allow the chat, it'll show up right here if you click on it, and they can type a message, how is the sound, and everybody can give you from a 1 to a 5. And so you can tell real quickly how the sound is. Okay, and then of course the recording, if you're recording automatically, it'll just start automatically. If you want to start it after you start the meeting, you can hit record. You can also pause the recording in the middle of the recording, or you can pause it and start again if you wanted to pause. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to show you is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you just a little bit on the iPad because I'm a math teacher and we need a pretty good whiteboard from time to time. So I just need to click share, and I haven't. Okay, so I went ahead and pulled this image in prior to starting this video so that you can pull in any image, you can pull in a file, you can pull in a video. There's clip art built in, like if you go right here to add, and they've got a ton of clip art that you can add. And this is just the Explain Everything app. So let's just say we were talking about quadratics and it was maybe our first day to talk about quadratics. And so we can talk about the parent function y equals x squared. And so then I would probably say, okay, the first way we learned how to graph is we plugged in points, right? So let's talk about what if x is 0? Y equals, if we plug in, we'll say x is 0. What is our y? Well, hopefully they tell you 0. Okay, well, what if x is 1? And I can actually use my tool to kind of erase this and say, okay, x is going to be 1. Well, if x is 1, what is y? And hopefully they tell you 1. And then what if x is -1? What is -1 times -1? And hopefully they tell you +1. Well, then what if we plug in 2? And you guys know how this works. So when you plug in 2, 2 squared is going to be 4. Well, what if we plug in a -2? Well, a -2 times a -2 is also +4. So let's graph those points. And so I'm going to pick something that'll help me do my points a little bit better. And so we've got 0, 0, we've got 1, 1, we've got -1, 1, we have 2, 4, we have -2, 4. And I'm just going to change the size because I like to do that. Now I'm going to draw my parabola, and I can talk about my parabola. Now, sometimes, if I wasn't in the app, you can do a lot more things. I think that I'm sharing on Zoom and I'm doing several things, but you could touch that parabola and you could show and talk about transformations. Like what if it was x squared plus 5 and you could shift it up. And this is a template that I've done. So then if I go to my next screen, I have a blank coordinate plane. So whenever I'm doing any kind of graphing where I need lots of coordinate planes, I just have saved a template that I can use. Now, with geometry, I teach honors geometry. And so I give them notes a lot of times. And so I can actually pull in their notes right here and we can work problems together. So let's just say we were doing this problem right here. We've been talking about trig ratios. And so we're looking at the cosine of 21 degrees. And the cosine is the ratio of the adjacent, which this is your adjacent side right here, x over your hypotenuse. And so then they would solve that. I would tell them normally I just do this as a proportion. So I have x equals 26 times the cosine of 21. Reminding them that anytime we're taking the cosine of an angle, I need to be in degree mode. Okay, well, I know that was a quick review for Zoom, and then also just how you share your screen. You can, of course, share your desktop, and you can go to the whiteboard, and there's lots of things that you can do. Like I said, I teach math, so I like to use my iPad and my Apple Pencil because it replicates being in school and on a whiteboard the best way that I know how. So I hope you guys have fun with Zoom, and I hope your students love it.